Well, my general feeling about the budget is that it projects a slightly more optimistic outlook for the economy. The Chancellor has slightly upped his growth forecasts. Borrowing is probably past its peak, and he thinks it's going to be slightly better than previously expected. There are some tax cuts, of course, balanced by tax increases, and he also predicts a very sharp fall in inflation. So I think overall this doesn't change the outlook for the economy, but what it does confirm is that the process of reducing the deficit is continuing. He's made progress on it, and it also predicts stronger growth to come, particularly in 2013. I think there's some good news in this budget for small and medium-sized companies. Firstly, the announcement that companies with small turnover below £77,000 will be able to use a cash basis for accounting rather than accruals basis. I think that's a significant simplification. There's also good news in terms of the launch of the new National Loan Guarantee Scheme, under which the government proposes to put up to £20 billion to make that available to banks to lend to companies, many of them SMEs, and at lower rates. So I think that is a sort of significant improvement. There's no change in the small companies rate of corporation tax, but the large companies corporation tax rate has come down again, and I think that sets the UK up as a very competitive location for business in Europe. Well, I think the good news is that the government has cut corporation tax again. That is particularly good news for the manufacturing sector, I think in the Midlands. I think the other point is that this is an environment where the government believes that growth is going to pick up in the latter part of this year. It believes that we're probably going to dodge recession. That's a big change from how most people felt 3 or 4 months ago. And it expects growth in 2013 to pick up quite a bit. And I think that's very good news for the Midlands and for manufacturers. I think the other interesting point is that the UK has had a very big devaluation of the currency. This is way back in 2007-8, but I think for exporters and manufacturers that is really good news, because it does mean that with global markets picking up, demand picking up outside the UK has quite a comparative advantage in those markets. Well, on the 50p tax rate, I think that's quite an interesting move by the government, and clearly they've been quite convinced by the data that's come from HMRC, which suggests that the raising of the top rate of income tax from 40 to 50 hasn't yielded a huge amount of money, and actually cutting it won't cost a huge amount of money. And I think it does send a signal that the government and the UK is kind of open for business, that we're trying to attract globally mobile individuals and capital. You know, the UK is a very international economy. There's an awful lot of foreign businesses coming here, and I think that having a lower top rate of tax is a good thing. I guess what I hope is that as the public finances improve, as the Chancellor expects, that in time we're going to see the top rate of tax come still further lower, back down to 40p, which is where it was prior to the recession under the last Labour government. I guess overall this budget signals that the government has made progress. It's 2 years into a 7-year process of reducing this huge budget deficit, and it's on course. The independent body which assesses the public finances has said that the government should meet its target of eliminating the deficit by 2017. And I think the other thing the budget suggests is that the economy will probably dodge a recession. That's quite a change from what people were expecting at the end of last year. And it also suggests, and I think most economists agree with this, that the economy is likely to pick up in 2013. Nobody's going to go out and change their forecasts on the back of this budget, but I think it does suggest that the economy and the public finances are both moving in the right direction.